Today, let's talk about vulnerabilities in negotiation. As we are gaining insights, either as a result of experience of great opening, through which we start seeing world a little bit different, with less immersion, with bigger distance from sense of self, or through reading, acquiring knowledge from someone else whose experience we appreciate, considering the insights. No matter from where you are coming, you gain in the eyes that help you to see things a little bit deeper. Yet we need to understand that it's not everybody's experience. A lot of people live in complete immersion, identifying themselves as this body and this behavior. We can see that behavior is not the person. The behavior is just expressions of conditioning. For many people, it's still not the truth. I am how I act. I am what I think. I am what I feel. And therefore, you are as you act, as I see you, as I perceive you, at least that. So it's very possible that if you are engaged in a very dynamic work environment, especially on management level, or if you run your own business, whether it's service business, small business, or startup and just raise funding, you are interacting with a lot of people all the time. Therefore, you are interacting with accumulation of conditioning and perceptions that people have about themselves and the other in the room, since we're talking about negotiation. So now imagine this. You, just scenario for the sake of it, so we can play with it, okay? You made a handshake deal with someone of any kind. You made some agreement. It's a verbal agreement. On your end, you know exactly what you agreed to because you know why you agreed to that, okay? Another person might have very different reasonings for agreement. As time passed, you, because of your reasons, perfectly remember the agreement because it's backed up by reasoning that led to this agreement. And very possible particular data associated with that, because your reasoning was driving you to consider certain actions. Maybe you wrote something, maybe you talked about that to someone else. The reasoning was driving preparation to certain scenario. Another person got into the agreement maybe a bit later than you. Their reasoning got included, let's say, and maybe very not complete for that agreement to happen. Now, sometime later, person breached the agreement. Have you ever had situations like that? Even in your personal life, relationship with your family members, with your loved ones, with your friends. It happens almost to everybody. Once in a while, someone breaches agreement. Okay. What happens? Conflict. Most often what happens? Conflict. Because now my feelings got hurt. I am not appreciated, respected, my contribution is not respected, appreciated, and so on and so forth. Plus now, all my reasonings that I had got denied along with the agreement. What happens very often in this situation is we start confronting another person, and other persons start to defend themselves. And then they start to make you wrong. And then they start to insist there was no agreement or there was other agreement. Interestingly enough, while in some situations, people simply lie in your face to defend themselves and they know they're lying, That's their choice. That's a strategy to defend. The ego defends. It doesn't want to be wrong. Another strategy of the mind is to forget the original agreement. And it's very interesting phenomena, almost legitimate. Mind actually forgets, and it believes itself in forgetting. And it starts to believe in this other reality where there was no agreement, or it was very different agreement. The mind starts believe in its own lie, because that's how the mind works. It constantly creates little lies that help us cope with the sense of, oh, I'm not good enough, because it's very painful, or something similar. I'm not in integrity, I'm not honest, I'm not trustworthy, I'm not accountable. The mental construct that mind defends can be very different. It doesn't matter what exactly mind defends, but the defense mechanism is forgetting. Very often you ask your spouse, honey, could you please do that? And then he or she comes, oh, I forgot. Sometimes it's the strategy of the mind to forget, because otherwise there is something needs to be invested that the person might not want to invest. Maybe it's time, maybe it's effort, maybe it's not doing something else that she or he would rather do at that point. And the strategy of the mind is to forget. Okay? Now, that's a very interesting thing to understand when you get into the conversation. So the strategy of the mind is to forget, and we can remember about that particular strategy when we start confronting another person. Because what happens? If I forgot an agreement, my mind forgot an agreement due to the strategy, and it made me believe in very different agreement I made, anything you said, what will I do? I'll make you wrong. Isn't it so? I'll make you wrong. So you are confronting, you get defense and blame back. Now, sometimes what people do, again, the strategy of the mind to cope with how I feel is leave the conversation. How often people hang up on you, or left the room, or stop negotiation, saying, you know what, call my lawyer. Call my lawyer. I'm checking out of this. I have no time for this. You know, this is very often. I have no time for this. And of course, we know it's not the time that we don't have. We don't have inner mechanism that allow us to cope with how much we feel at this moment. It's not the time they don't have, or you are not right, and it's a legal matter to talk to the lawyer. It's another person in this case, right? Another person's desire to show you they're in control. They're in control. Talk to my lawyer. I'm in control. Talk to my lawyer, right? I'm in control of this. You're telling me I'm not in control? No, I'm in control. And here how I'll show you I'm in control. I'm leaving this room. I have no time for this, right? So you have to understand that this is the person's vulnerability that they're demonstrating to you. It is not a behavior of strength. It's a behavior of vulnerability, because there is a doubt now. She or he is saying I'm wrong. I'm not wrong. Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. This the same mechanism triggered that created the strategy of the mind to forget. Because I can't cope with the idea that I'm doing something wrong. I'm actually choosing to do something that is out of my integrity. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to feel bad. Do I want to feel bad? No, I don't want to feel bad. Right? And the mind is supporting us so we don't feel bad. That's why when you listen of the stories that people tell after they committed some pretty horrible crimes, for example, and you listen, think, how interesting. The story is quite a legitimate story. I almost can understand that it's a legitimate thing to do. the mind justifies everything. And more intelligent the mind is, more trained it is to think logically, it will create a very reasonable, beautiful story. And it make wrong everybody around and make me right. In my story, I will be right. And my action will be legitimate. You're wrong and you're wrong and you're wrong. And you have very different, very wrong perspectives. And definitely you are telling lies. And right, so that's what mind does. The mind that is weak to feel, truly feel honestly what actually is going on without turning the coping mechanism of hiding behind the stories. Because that's how the mind checks out. I'll create story where I'm right because feeling that I'm doing right now something wrong and making choice that is out of my integrity, out of my desired code of behavioral conduct. I can't cope with this idea. I can't be wrong even in my own eyes. I can't be wrong. And even if the whole world will tell me I'm doing something really, really what I shouldn't have been doing, I at least know I'm doing the right thing if my mind helped me to create this story and hold on to this story. Why do we need to understand that? Well, a few things. If we want to be successful in negotiation, and I don't want to use word win negotiation, but let's say at the end of it have outcome that we want, or outcome that is satisfactory, at least not maybe what we want, but something that will satisfy all parties, so it's satisfactory outcome. Or even to be very honest with another agenda that we have, it just brings someone back into integrity because it's not okay with me that you're letting me down. I have to continue relationship with me and you're letting me down unconsciously or consciously. That's not okay. This is my boundaries and I stand by that. I want you to come back with me into integrity. I want you to be honest with me. Now, person cannot be honest with you unless they're fully honest with themselves, because then they have at least choice, conscious choice. Oh, I will be honest with this person, I will be not. If they're not honest with themselves, even with desire to be honest with you, they will be honest to this about this story, which is the coping mechanism. So if the person in front of you emotionally and even spiritually, I would say here, are not aware, and the somatically not aware what's happening in the body that would really show them, reveal to them what's actually happening in relationship between the mind and the reality, between the construct and what the actuality of things is. Because very often body suggests us, we can feel when we're incongruent, when we say something, and it almost feels like it's exactly what I know, but there is something here in my solar plexus over here, see the solar plexus, or heart somehow beats, or something is itching and some body is showing us discomfort, like, pay attention, there's something, the body, the rhythm of the body is indisputable. This is why I personally love working with the body when I work with people, because body can show us what the mind hides very often, okay? So, go back, we're having this conversation, and the person is checking out. I have no time for it. Brushing you off, I have no time for it. If you want to continue negotiation, you have to calm them. You have different strategies. You can just let them go and continue on their own journey of unconsciousness, unawareness, and completely absence of self-understanding and emotional intelligence. You can just sit down and relax and witness the journey, or even check out of witnessing it. Right? So you can just let it go and not put any efforts in it if you know that this person, I don't want to continue jointly this journey. They're not ready for that relationship that I would like to have with lovers, friends, partners, business partners, whatever. You can just witness the, oh, that's the level of awareness there then sure, let's hang up. We don't need to continue this conversation ever. Or leave the room. We don't need to. I hear you. You are in pain. This is a very compassionate way to approach it. Oh, I see. You're in pain. This is your way to gain control over a situation that you feel you're completely helpless and out of control. Leave the room. Please, I can open the door for you. And wishing you well. This is one approach. Another approach is if you actually truly care about this relationship, or if you actually care to stand up for yourself in this relationship because you cannot check out of a relationship, maybe it's your family, you can't just check out. I mean, temporarily you can. But other than that, they're kind of present in your life. They are there. They are there, and they are as they are. Yet, you can help each other to witness the truth within you. Then stop them. Don't go crazy and get all up emotionally, because that could be impulse that you can watch and just let it go. Compassion to yourself and to them. That's what they are. Don't let them leave the room because they can't cope. But just as long as you know that that's what's happening, they can't cope with what's going on. You are that. I'm gone. Slap, right? Whatever is happening, this is desire to show you control, show themselves really. That's what's really happening. They're showing themselves they're in control, and they are right. They are telling them the story. I'm right. This is right. I'm righteous, right? Don't let them leave the conversation. They might leave the room to calm down. Don't let them leave the conversation, but change your strategy of the conversation. Because what happened first, your strategy was perceived and received as an attack. I'm not saying not legitimate attack. If someone is out of integrity, I cannot say that it's not legitimate to confront them. The question is only, what do you want as a result of it? If you want continuity of relationship, if you want continuity of the deal, if you want continuity of any kind, go back into the conversation with different strategy. Come back helping person to feel better in this body right now, considering turmoil that they are going through. The conflict between, I want to be a good person because everybody wants to, whatever it means for them, and I'm doing something that is justified because there were reasons why I breached this agreement. I wanted something else and it contradicted with my agreement. And what I wanted, or what I was running away from, so very often what is driven is not just desire to gain something, but desire to not have something, the fear, avoidance of something, right? And that desire or fear can be stronger than the ability to withstand what they agreed to if there is a conflict. So there will be choice, and the choice is not always easy for the person to make. Even if they make choice that is wrong choice, that take them out of integrity, it's not always an easy choice. And that's how the mind creates the coping mechanism, because the choice, it feels like, but I have no choice, that's what I need to choose. And there's a guilt. But very quickly mind say, I'll help you, no guilt. Turn around, another story. Forget it. That was not the agreement. I mean, it's a little bit more complex than that, but let's simplify it for our own understanding and acceptance of it as the reality, whether we like it or not. This is the reality of human coping that we see very often. There's other reality of how we cope, but this is one of them. Very, very, very common. Very common. So what could be your strategy to come back into this conversation? Maybe you need to acknowledge that you understand that the choice was not easy choice and mean it. But first you have to find compassion and understanding within you, which means you need to really, really well understand yourself in general, working on understanding yourself deeper and deeper and deeper, because you can't have compassion unless you understand how your own sufferings and choices and conflicts affect your world. When you understand that, you can pretty much feel compassion to another, because you can understand how difficult for them, how difficult it was to make choices that was so not linear choices for my sense of inner integrity. And even if I make that choice, I cannot feel it, I'm out of integrity. It feels so painful. It feels so painful to me that I have to come up with another story so I can cope with it. Right? I repeat myself so we understand it and we remember it very well. Now, if you acknowledge that you understand how hard the choice was, and you understand that maybe it wasn't that linear, and maybe you're willing to not judge, even though what you presented at first was judgment, legitimate maybe. Now you're willing not to put judgments on a person, and you really want to understand. Now your communication strategy must be changed to passive listening. It's very hard to do when your own feelings are hurt. But more awareness you have, more you learn to manage your own feelings, you, as a wise and kind and compassionate person, can make it so that it subsides. Or just cope with that, which is very hard, yes. Cope with your own pain, yet refocus on another being and let them speak up. If you want them to come back with you in integrity, and they're not willing, because when they're willing, there's a process. And I can share with you when we if you reach out or something, you can work on the process, right? So when a person is willing, step back into integrity with you, there is a process, and probably a number of different processes can be used. But when person is not willing, when they're not willing, but for you it's almost like life and death. I cannot continue being in relationship with this person if they're not willing to get back in integrity. I can't, right? There's this I can't. And it's legitimate, I can't. I cannot say, it's okay if people are not in integrity with you and continue being in integrity, still maintain the relationship. That's not what I'm saying, really not. You want to feel that people next to you accountable for their actions and they're reliable and you can trust them. So it doesn't mean that they will not make mistakes of choices, they will. You can be present and help them. So if they're willing to be in integrity, that's the easy part. If they're not willing, that's what we are working with. Person left the room, talk to my lawyer, I don't have time for this, slap the door, hang up, whatever the expression. So they're not willing to go back into the integrity. What happens? Ask questions. Even in general, as a persuasion strategy, questions are super helpful. One question leads to another question, and you reveal the truth, and you look at the data, and so on and so forth, and then you lead, through questioning, you lead to a conclusion that you want to accomplish. That general persuasion strategy works very well. I can teach you that if you want. But here, it's not even about persuasion as much as truly understanding their position, the current position and position at which they made the choice and decision, and make them feel safe to reveal that yes, they can remember the agreement. Because if you don't make them feel safe, if your opponent is still in defense, they will never admit the agreement was made. Ever. You will never get it. You will be wrong. You'll be blamed. You will be called names. You will be even sued maybe in some cases, because that's what emotions do. The anger does that. The desire to defend does it. But if you just allow a person to be open about it, which means you create a space, very compassionate, understanding, willing to accept whatever it is. If this is the atmosphere and the energy that you represent during this conversation, then you will meet more honesty and openness from another person, where they can then have space to admit, because then they don't need to cope with your judgment and try to get strategy around it. Of course, for that, you need to bring them back into conversation. That's if you choose to, if it matters to you. Because as we discussed, there's great possibility that it doesn't. You wanted to make a deal with the person, they behaved like that, and you say, well, this is like 5-year-old child. I don't think I want to deal with that because this behavior represents the pattern of behaviors that you will be witnessing, the check out of the deal. And it might be the best what you can do in this situation. But if the choice is, well, continue in relationship, person back into conversation, you're listening now. You're asking questions not to prove, because that was before you could do that, to prove. And that's what attack will feel like, that they can be proven that they were wrong. They don't want to be wrong. So now you're asking questions not to prove, you're asking questions to understand and find the place within you to relate and to forgive, which is again a very different conversation. What does it mean forgiveness? That's forgiveness is very separate here too, but this is how at least it's easy to perceive it, forgive, right? To relate, that's a better word, really. To relate. Asking questions so you can relate and understand the reasoning behind this coping mechanism that happened in the first place, which you don't have to call it like that because very often people will not be able to receive it at all. I created coping mechanism because I felt bad. I didn't feel bad. There's nothing to feel bad about. I was so right. There was nothing to feel bad about. So now through the questioning, you get into reality of another person. That's if you truly stay completely low on your own triggers and your own desire to be right and your own desires to prove. Just receiving their worldview and learning about the perspective that might be not the ones that you would really, really, really want to see in someone that you are with to any degree, working or having love affair with. Because that might be not much, doesn't match at all to your worldview, to your perception of what's right, what's wrong, what's within integrity, what's out of integrity. And nevertheless, it's a human being with another world and with another perspectives. And it's not a matter whether you can respect those perspectives or not. It's, can you at least understand them? What you do with them is later to your deal, but at least understand them truly. And very often help another person understand them, because if they come from this unconscious defense mechanism behavior, they most probably, unless that they consciously lie to you, which is not often the case, most probably they don't understand how they got here. They meant to do well, and that now we are here in this conflict. If you are very artfully, skillfully, subtly, maybe sometimes it helps for another person to receive, help them understand the inner logistics of choices and decisions that got us here, then we can navigate it together, collaboratively, without judgment. And interestingly enough, you can come up sometime with very good alternative even to initial agreement, maybe even better business terms, or much deeper connection into relating to each other as a couple or friend or stranger. The question is, of course, what would you need to let go of to be able to have this level of negotiation? What do you need to let go? Your desire to be right? Your desire for them to be a villain so you can justify something in your own world. Your desire to have power, control over someone else. Your desire to not feel your own little shadows. Your desire that another desire. Or your fears. Your fears that if you let your guards down, then you can be used, maybe. Or any other fear that the mind can very intelligently construct. Your role is this, as a conscious being, is deconstruct. Keep deconstructing again and again and again. Deconstruct. Deconstruct. There is a lot to say, of course, about this subject if we have very specific situations. For now, I just leave it at generics, and if you have particular conflict that you struggle with for a while or struggling right now, reach out. I have many ways how you can find me online, through links, through search, Google search, and schedule your absolutely complimentary session with me. I'll be happy to sit down and look at how the awareness of self can help you to navigate this world, this peace, sense of greater, deeper awareness and wiser insights, and relate to people a little bit with more compassion, because compassion is not that easy. We use this word compassion, it's not that easy. So I'll be happy to be a little co-witness on your journey and offer you tools. Okay. So with that, I'm wishing you very, very best and much love. Talk to you soon.